In a time where emotional openness and vulnerability is seemingly celebrated, why are modern Stoic men often viewed with skepticism? Seen as relics of a past where men were men and suppressed their emotions, often being negatively linked to the buzz term of toxic masculinity. But is this right? Are Stoics simply out of step with today's expressive culture, or do they represent a misunderstood yet vital wisdom? Let's unearth the nuanced and often overlooked reasons behind the modern backlash against more Stoic men. These days, where showing emotions is often equated with authenticity, the Stoic man stands apart. His approach, marked by calm restraint and a strong sense of independence, is sometimes wrongly seen as a lack of feeling. But there is a big difference between experiencing emotions and letting them rule you. Children are free to let their emotions out in whatever form they may take. But as they grow, they learn to manage these feelings and how they express them around others. This becomes even more important for men, who must learn to control emotions like anger and frustrations as they get stronger. Left unchecked, such emotions would lead to antisocial behavior or worse. So society needs men to learn to manage and express emotions properly. Stoicism is about letting those emotions flow through you without acting upon them. It is not about suppression. This common misinterpretation brings a fresh perspective to our discussions on authenticity and vulnerability. It raises questions about the role emotions should play in our society. The Stoic man's presence in our highly expressive age challenges us to think differently. It goes against the narrative that everyone should let their feelings and emotions out, when the discussion should be more about managing how we express them. When it comes to personal relationships, the Stoic man's approach also frequently encounters misunderstandings. His tendency towards measured responses and emotional restraint is often mistaken for a lack of empathy or genuine interest. This common misperception challenges the very core of how we understand communication and emotional connection. It forces us to question the dynamics of modern relationships, where words and overt expressions are typically seen as the currency of connection. The Stoic man's more reserved style introduces a different perspective. It suggests that deep understanding and empathy might not always require constant emotional expressiveness and sharing of feelings. This idea shakes up traditional views on interpersonal relationships, prompting a re-evaluation of what it truly means to connect and communicate in today's world, where depth is often overshadowed by the immediacy and intensity of emotional expression. Also, in our age of impulse, the Stoic man can cause frustration to those around him. Think about how often we react quickly to things, especially online. We're used to responding right away, often based on our first emotional impulse. That goes to messaging and comments on posts. We are often quick to anger or opinion. But the Stoic man does things differently. He takes his time, thinks things through before he reacts. This careful way of handling situations is quite different from what we're used to in our fast-moving digital world. When we see someone being so controlled and thoughtful, it can make us notice how we often lack that kind of self-control. We're so used to seeing and doing things quickly that this calm, measured approach almost seems out of place. It's like holding up a mirror, showing us how quickly we react to things without really thinking them through. This difference makes us think, maybe there's something good about taking a moment to think before we act, even when everything around us is moving so fast. But for others, it just shines a light on their own failings. Of course, it's not just in our personal lives where Stoics can be hated. In the corporate world today, we often value leaders who are dynamic, emotionally expressive, and charismatic. They're the ones who can inspire with a passionate speech or energize a room with their enthusiasm. They could be influencers or even the face of much-loved brands. Now think about a leader who is Stoic. This leader maintains a calm composure, doesn't get visibly upset or overly excited, and approaches situations with a steady, controlled demeanor. In such an environment, this Stoic style might be misunderstood as a lack of passion or detachment, perhaps even boring. People might start to question whether this leader really cares about the team's success or if they're truly invested in the company's goals. It's why people often vote for the politician they like the most, rather than the one who will do a better job. But the qualities that inspire and appeal don't always translate into good leadership. The very qualities that make them stand out can also make them narcissistic and individualist, something you really don't want in someone you have to follow. This misinterpretation can lead to a certain resentment or dislike towards Stoic leaders. Team members used to more overtly expressive leaders might find the Stoics' reserved nature off-putting or interpret it as disinterest. In reality, this leader might be deeply thoughtful and incredibly dedicated, but their style doesn't fit the typical mold of what many expect from a leader these days. This clash between the Stoic leader's approach and the conventional expectations of modern leadership can create friction. It challenges the team to reconsider what effective leadership looks like. Should a good leader always show their emotions, or is there room for the quiet, contemplative type who leads more by example and less by emotion? This situation can lead to a divide in opinion, where some might appreciate the Stoic leader's steady hand, while others might view it as a lack of engagement or enthusiasm. Though most, if not all, miss the Stoic leadership when faced with an erratic and unpredictable person afterwards. It's a nuanced aspect of leadership in the modern world, where emotional intelligence and individualism is often prized, but might also overshadow the value of restraint and thoughtful decision-making that Stoic leaders bring to the table. Overall, it's the willingness to stand firm with unwavering values that make people both love and hate Stoics. Do you think Stoicism holds relevance in today's expressive society, or is it a philosophical relic? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until then, stay curious, keep questioning, and continue engaging with the world of ideas.